Well, what can I say after all these kind words of introduction? It's fantastic to be here, and I really enjoyed the hospitality, and it has been quite a while since I was here last time. I was here 25 years ago. And I won't wait, by the way, another 25 years before coming back. I can promise you that. But thank you very much to all of you for the hospitality, for the kind words of introduction, and of course to the host here, this fantastic museum, in allowing us here to organize this event. I had a quick run through the museum with the director, and I must say it's very fantastic, fascinating what's going on. And it's also showing how important it is to demonstrate the importance of science and technology to young people and to kids in school, because indeed they are the future generation, and if they get an appetite for science and education, then they have also an appetite to move further into that with their careers. When we talk about science and innovation in Europe, I must say we actually have not in the European Union 27 member states, but we have 28. Because Israel is so good in cooperating with all other European countries that it's almost natural that there is an Israeli participation in our programs. And this has now a history of quite a number of years, and it has only become stronger, this partnership, and it's natural. And I myself cannot imagine a European research program without Israel as full participant. So I hope... So I'm very committed as well to bring Israel into the next Horizon 2020 as well, but it's going to cost you some money, Chief Scientist. There's a price to pay for that. Let me just introduce Horizon 2020, because that's why we are here today. Just before the summer, President Barroso of the European Commission presented his views for the next budget of the European Union. And as you probably know, we were with 7-year cycles. So he presented his views for the budget for the period 2014-2020. In our jargon, this is called the multi-annual financial framework. And it's very clear that this budget is very much, this programming period is very much oriented to getting Europe out of the economic crisis and to really get the economy back on the rails again. And therefore, you will see that inside this budget, there are quite a number of important changes. As a total size, the budget is more or less of what we have today. But inside, there is one area which will get a tremendous increase, and that is science and innovation. As a matter of fact, Barroso has proposed to the European member states and to the European Parliament that there should be an increase of the money which we spend from the side of Brussels on research and innovation by 46%, showing indeed that the only way out of the economic crisis is through investing in science and innovation, because it will only be science and innovation which will bring growth back into our economy, and it's the growth which should get us out of the crisis and create the jobs. And it's not surprising, if you look at this table, that those countries who have a very strong knowledge base, who have been investing quite substantially in the past in science and innovation, are also the countries who get quickest out of the economic crisis. Whether we talk about Finland or Sweden, about Germany, all these countries have invested massively in a knowledge economy, and these are therefore, and I think it's not a surprise, also the countries which got quickest out of the economic crisis. Now, Horizon 2020 is the proposal of the European Commission for the next programming period, 2014-2020, and if it's up to us, it will get a budget of 80 billion. And it's part of this overall EU budget proposal for the coming years. And it's very, very much oriented, Horizon 2020, to doing things smarter and doing things greener. This is more or less the leitmotif of the program. We have only made this proposal after a very thorough consultation of stakeholders. What we normally do in Brussels, just to give you some inside information, is we make a proposal in our ivory tower and then we send it to the member states and try to sell it. But this time we did it the other way around. We really took an enormous effort to consult and to listen. We spent more than a year and a half to listen to stakeholders, to governments, to the Chief Scientist's office, to different members of the European Parliament, to end users, patient organizations, to see what is it you want the European Union to do when we talk about science and innovation. And we have had also quite a good reply from the side of Israel. There was a very active Israeli participation in this consultation about our future programs. And I'm very grateful to the chief scientist in his office who've organized it, and also to Marcel Chaton. Now I talk about Marcel, indeed, we have been knowing each other for more than 20 years. And although you are very often a pain in the neck, at the same time, I must say that if there is one person who is dedicated to the European cause, who is dedicated to European science and innovation, who wants this partnership between the EU and Israel work, it's you. And I'm very grateful. Yes, indeed, indeed. And I'm very grateful for all this friendship and all this information and this contacts. And I must always, very often surprised by the knowledge you already have. You know things about the future programs which I do not even know. And that is quite impressive. So we have been making our proposal for Horizon 2020 based on a broad stakeholder consultation. Now, what is new compared to what we have now, Framework Program 7? I think, first of all, we will come with a single program which brings together the Framework Program, the Competitiveness Innovation Program, and the European Institute of Technology. In this way, we are coupling research to innovation. And that is a message which we got very clearly during the stakeholder consultation. Don't work in future with silos. Don't have a silo for research and a silo for innovation. Couple them and make sure that there's a seamless integration between the two of them. Then thirdly, we have enormous societal challenges in Europe. An aging population, energy security, food safety. Make sure that part of the budget is addressed to addressing these ground societal challenges. And last but not least, simplification. We have made the system far too complex. There are far too many rules, far too many papers to fill out. The system is based on mistrust instead of trust. And that needs to change. This was a very clear message we got from the stakeholders, but it's also something which I have been very much annoyed about in the last couple of years. The system has become far too complex. And we are making now proposals for a radical simplification. Because researchers should do, in the context of our programs, what they are good at doing, that is doing research, and not to do all this awful reporting or filling out forms. So the radical simplification is something which we are very strongly committed to, and this is exactly what we got from our stakeholders. Now here you have a kind of an overview of what we got during the consultation from the Israeli side, and what we have been doing with your comments. And I must say that overall, there is a very, very good alignment of what you would like to see and what Horizon 2020 is going to offer. You made a very strong plea for scientific excellence. You made a strong plea to couple research to innovation. You underlined the importance, and the chief scientist just did it already, about small and medium-sized enterprises. And of course, also all the stakeholders from Israel said, please simplify. Simplify, simplify. The system has become far too complex. So what have we been doing? We have finally decided to put Horizon 2020 in the form of 3 pillars. Excellent science, industrial leadership, and societal challenges. And these pillars are very, very much decided upon who sets the agenda. When we talk about excellent science, it is the individual researcher who sets the agenda and determines what he or she wants to do. As Tim Hunt, the Nobel Prize winner, said, you should allow young people to follow their nose. And that is the basic research, the frontier research, which is also important to make sure that we have enough new knowledge in our system. The second pillar, industrial leadership, there it's very much the industry. Both the small and medium-sized industry and the large industry will set the agenda. They define what should be done. And then, of course, all scientists, science communities, research centers join up in order to follow that agenda. And the last but not least, the pillar on societal challenges, which the politicians who set certain agendas, who set certain priorities. Priorities which challenge the scientific community and the industrial community. Think about, as I mentioned, the aging population. Think about the energy security. And certainly now that we have a number of European countries decided to step out of the nuclear, this is going to have tremendous consequences on our energy system. If we want to replace that by renewables, by biofuels, by wind energy, this requires an enormous investment in the next generation, heavy investments in research and innovation. So there it's very much the politicians, the society, which defines the priorities. In the past, we very often made the mistake in trying to mingle everything into one big pot, and then we said everything is good for this and for that. But now I think we have a very clear approach towards the programs. Now let me start with excellent science. I don't need to explain to you here why we need to keep on investing in basic science. And yet each time that I'm speaking, I underline that we have to continue investing in basic science, because very often when we talk about innovation, politicians think in terms of innovation is applied research, and that means that we have to put more money into applied research and not into fundamental research. And that's of course a big mistake. Fundamental research remains essential for the competitiveness of our industry and our societies. So therefore we are committed to indeed continue in investing in fundamental research. And if I talk about fundamental research, frontier research, I immediately of course mention the European Research Council. The success story of the current Framework Programme 7. If there is one program which has received recognition all over Europe, but not only all over Europe, all over the world, it's the ERC. This has become the benchmark for basic research. And when presidents of universities in Europe now meet, the first question they ask themselves, how many grants did you get this year from the ERC? It has become a kind of a benchmark. And if you would just list the universities according to the number of grants, ERC grants they have received, you have at the same time the top universities in Europe. So from that point of view, this is really an enormous success story, and I'm therefore pushing for almost a doubling of the budget for the ERC. We have also in this context, when we talk about fundamental research, frontier research, the exchange program called Marie Curie, where we allow researchers to spend some time in different countries. We continue with that. We have a very interesting, relatively new scheme which is called Future Emerging Technologies. These are collaborative projects on grand new concepts like, for instance, graphene. And last but not least, we will continue investing funds in research infrastructures, because researchers, of course, need very often infrastructures, facilities, equipment where they can do their work. And then, of course, you used to think about the European Spallation Source, you used to think about the telescopes that we are building in Chile at the moment, research vessels. So these are the big tools which allow, indeed, scientists to do their work. Priority 2, industrial leadership. This is a pillar where we are very much allowing industry, both small and medium-sized and big, to set agendas and indeed to come forward with ideas. We have had quite some successful examples in public-private partnerships in the field of aeronautics, Clean Sky in the field of pharmaceuticals, ENIAC and Artemis were already mentioned here as joint technology initiatives. So we have a number of public-private partnerships. We are going to continue with that. But we're also going to create an SBIR-type mechanism for small and medium-sized enterprises. I think most of you are familiar with the SBIR scheme in the United States. This is a very effective mechanism, program, which allows small and medium-sized enterprises, high-tech enterprises, in the first phase via feasibility awards, financed for 100% to explore certain ideas, then go into collaborative projects, and then do a rollout towards the market. So this is a scheme which we have more or less copied from the Americans, because it has proven to be extremely successful, and that's something which we are going to invest in Europe in the years to come, because small and medium-sized enterprises, and Chief Scientist already mentioned it, are of course the drivers for economic growth and for job creation. So it's extremely important that we nurture and support small businesses. The funding which we are foreseeing for that is somewhat distorted, because we are having the money for small and medium-sized enterprises, not only the 600 million, but there will be much more, because it will be paid out of some of the other pillars. A dedicated activity I wanted to mention here is the key enabling technologies. The key enabling technologies, we talk about the nano, the bio, the ICT, will remain important, and we are also stepping up the investment for it. And as a matter of fact, this is one of the most impressive budgets which we have on the Horizon 2020, the budgets for the key enabling technologies. Let's go to the societal challenges. I already mentioned that when we did the stakeholder consultation for our next program, we got a very clear message from citizens, from patients' organizations. Really make sure that you are also having programs which address the concerns of the citizen. And the citizen is of course concerned about his security, He's concerned about his access to energy, the mobility, the transport system. His health is, of course, a big concern. So there was a very clear message indeed to have also a dedicated program on the ground societal challenges, which are at the same time the challenges of the man in the street. And that's indeed what we are going for. We have identified 6 ground challenges: health and aging population, food security, food safety, secure energy systems, smart, green and integrated transport, climate action and raw materials, and of course inclusive, innovative and secure societies. And secure societies has quite an impressive budget for cybersecurity, and I think in your country you're familiar with cybersecurity. So from that point of view, there is a kind of a new approach in which we are going away from a kind of a thematic technology push approach, and we go more for the ground societal challenges. And inside these overall ground challenges, we have identified dedicated work packages with smaller challenges, and we ask the scientific community, come forward with novel ideas, come forward with new concepts, which indeed can be then indeed not only be researched upon, but we allow also now much more funding for demonstration, take-up measures, rollout. So we do the whole chain. So it's not anymore the necessity to come only with research proposals. We are allowing in future proposals which go from research all the way to the rollout, all the way to the market, because we need indeed to bring these research results to commercial products. Simplification. I have a dedicated slide on that because this is really essential. And we have put forward now a very, I think, comprehensive and clear set of simplification measures. There will be a single set of participation rules. We will go from a system based on mistrust to a system based on trust. We do not want to treat researchers as potential thieves. We should have respect for our researchers and allow them to do the thing which they can do best, and that is research. We are coming with a very simple funding rate, and we are also looking into giving much quicker reactions to applications so that people can start their proposal very, very quickly. And as a matter of fact, the ERC, the European Research Council, I'm very happy that one of the members of the Scientific Council is with us today, is of course the benchmark here as well for the rest of the European programs. What the ERC has achieved in user-friendliness, in quality, in peer review, in feedback and rapidity, this is really the benchmark, the example for the rest of the European programs. So Horizon 2020, which is the new name of our program, will offer for SMEs an enormous amount of opportunities through this SBIR scheme. It allows regions to be more active, it allows our international partners to participate, and it will finance all forms of innovation. And perhaps I should have said it before, when we talk about innovation, it's not only just technological innovation. There's a lot of social innovation. And also these concepts, social organization, organizational models, are also going to be eligible for funding under our new program. The first reactions to our proposal, because as you know, on the 30th of November, we put forward our proposal for Horizon 2020. The first reactions were extremely positive. Here you have some quotes. The President of the European Research Council, Helga Novotny, people from the European Parliament. The overall reactions are extremely supportive. And as a matter of fact, the European Parliament even said, well, you're asking 80 billion. Well, that's not enough. You should ask for 100 billion. So from that point of view, there has been good reactions to our proposals. We are not there yet, because as you all know, there will be quite some in-depth negotiations between the European member states, between the European Parliament, in order to arrive at an agreement. And this takes about a year and a half. Now, a lot of people tell me, my God, that takes a long time before you decide in Europe. But if I tell you that my colleagues in the United States are very jealous about this scheme, because we have indeed to discuss the budget and the content for 1 year and a half, but then once we have a program for 7 years. In the United States, they have to go to the Hill, as they call it, to Congress every year. And very often it's only at the end of the year, the fiscal year, that they are able to secure a budget. So we are going now into this in-depth period of negotiations, and I'm quite confident that by the end or the middle of 2013 we'll get an agreement, and then on the 1st of January 2014 we are going to launch the calls. In the meantime, it's very important that we start very quickly the negotiations with Israel for the association to Horizon 2020. And from my side, you can count on my commitment to do these negotiations in a very tough way. But I'm convinced that it's in the interest of all of us that we try to get quite rapidly to a decision. Are we going for a continuation of this partnership or not? And it's up to me. I'm willing to go indeed for a reinforcement of our cooperation. Now, just a couple of words about the Israeli participation. The Israeli participation is incredibly well. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the funds, and I know we should not only look at funds, but if you look at the funds which goes from the framework program to Israel, it's a very impressive amount of money. It's about 450 million euro as we talk today, knowing that the Israeli investment is only 300 million. So this is a return on investment you get in our programs, which I think Gemini, the venture capital company, is not even to secure, not even to guarantee. So this is, I think, a very good return on investment, 45%. But it's not only that. It's, of course, not only about the financial gains and financial win. I think it's the benchmark, it's the networking, it's the excitement of working together, it's the context which you establish through our programs, the training, the outreach. So there's much more to it than just this financial element. But I think it's quite impressive when I look at the financial angle, how much money out of our programs goes to Israel. And the reason for that is very simple. We select our projects based on quality and excellence. There are no other criteria. And in this kind of competition, quality shows the way forward and quality is rewarded. So with whom do you now mainly work together? With whom do the Israeli participants, organizations work together? It's mainly with Germans, UK, Italian, French, and Spain. You're extremely strong in ICT, in health, nanotechnology, security. These are areas where you are really outstanding. European Research Council is a tremendous success here. If I look at the number of grants which you have received over the last couple of years, it's unique, and it says a lot about the quality of your science base. And of course, we have a very high academic involvement. But there are some areas for improvement. Social sciences and humanities, I was quite surprised to see that there's not enough participation in this program. Not talking about the ERC component, but in general. Space, you have a lot of good technologies, good industry there, could offer possibilities. And energy and environment. So certainly these are areas where you could indeed step up the gear, because I know your country has a lot to offer in that field. This is all that I wanted to say about Horizon 2020. I would like to thank you once again for being here. I would like to thank the organizers for having taking all the time to bring these people together. Thank our ambassador as well for his support in organizing the event, the museum people once again. And last but not least, of course, Marcel Chanton for his dedication, his work, and also for his friendship. Thank you very much.